this is my next video showing you how to develop thumb independence when playing fingerstyle guitar. This is the third video out of 4. In the first 2 videos, what we did is we had a look at getting the bass notes played regularly on each beat of the bar and introducing some melody notes. All that was done in the open position. So in this video, what we want to do is looking at introducing the fretting hand to start playing notes and chords. Now you may think you've got the hang at playing the bass notes and the melody notes just using open strings, but bringing in the other hand really brings in another dimension, and it can be really confusing trying to coordinate the left hand playing notes and chords and the right hand playing both bass notes and melody notes. So that's what we're going to look at today. So some of these exercises might be quite tough and they might take quite a lot of practice to get used to them. Just first up, for the first part of this video and the first few exercises, I'm going to be using the guitar tune to open D. The reason I'm doing that is because I don't have to make chords yet. When we go into making chords, we'll go into a standard tune guitar. But for the first 3 exercises in this video, it'll be a guitar tune to open D. So let's get on with the first exercise. Okay, in this exercise, what I'm going to do is introduce single fretted notes on each beat of the bar. Now the thumb will be playing the bass strings in the open position on the bottom 3 strings, and the other fingers will be playing the melody lines on the top 3 strings. Those 3. I'm not going to go all over the neck showing you different notes that can be played, and I'm just going to keep it to the first 5 frets on the guitar. But you can play any note and make up your own exercises for this. This is just a wee starter to give you a feel for it. Like I said, each note will be on each beat of the bar, so it'll be played at the same time as each bass note. Like so. Like I said, just try playing any notes that take your fancy and making up your own exercise for this. But if you just get into the habit of playing the bass notes at regular intervals and fretting a note on the guitar at the same time. I hope you got on okay. That was a gentle introduction. In this exercise, we're going to add quite a few more elements in. First, we're going to try fretting notes between each beat of the bar like we did in previous exercises. Then we're going to introduce a Travis picking pattern and play notes, melody notes fretted on each beat of the bar and between each beat of the bar. Then we're going to introduce 1/8 notes and play them with a standard picking pattern and a Travis picking pattern. So there's quite a lot to do in this exercise. And like the previous exercise, you can add notes in yourself and play whatever notes you want. Really what you're trying to do is just keep everything in time whilst fretting notes with this hand. Okay, you may have found the previous exercise quite tricky, trying to coordinate everything together and keep time. If you were struggling with it, I recommend playing it slowly or using a metronome to help you keep time. But I do recommend you get in the hang of this previous exercise before trying the one we're away to do now, because it's going to be quite tricky, this exercise. It's going to mix everything that we've done already together. So we're going to be fretting notes with this hand, and we're going to be playing eighth notes and quarter notes mixed up at different times in the bar. First time I play through it, I'm going to play through it just playing 4 bass notes on each string, and then I'm going to do it using a Travis picking pattern, which is going to be even trickier. So this lesson may take quite a while to get the hang of, but it's certainly worth doing, and it'll certainly get you well on your way to playing fingerstyle guitar with this thumb independence. I hope you got on okay with the last exercise. Like I said, it was really tricky and really advanced, and if you're playing that, you're pretty much playing fingerstyle guitar, you know, and you've got the hang of this thumb independence. However, there's a few more aspects I wish to look at. In all the previous examples, the bass notes have been played in the open position. So what I want to do now is start playing the bass notes fretted. And what I mean by that is start introducing chords. So a lot of the time when you're playing fingerstyle guitar, you'll actually be making a chord and playing the notes over the top. So this is what I want to do now. And it can pose a different challenge to just playing individual notes, because you've got to move all your fingers on your fretting hand at once. So I've got a few examples here for you to play through. The first couple of examples and exercises are going to be in the key of C. So we now have a standard tune guitar here, because you're probably more familiar with the chord shapes. So the first couple of examples are going to be in C. So we're going to use the chords C, F and G, which are the most common chords used. And we're going to play a finger picking pattern on this. The first exercise, it's going to be just 4 beats on the same string, switching between chords. Then we'll put in a Travis picking pattern. For the next 2 exercises, we'll use the same patterns, but we'll use different chords. What we'll use is E, C sharp minor, A and B, which are far more difficult chords to try and make with your hands. So have a go at this and have a go yourself, just playing around with different chords and playing around with different picking patterns while you have these chords. There's no additional notes getting added, it's just a case of making the chords and playing a picking pattern over them. See how you get on with this. I hope you got on okay with the previous exercise. It was just fairly standard picking patterns over fairly standard chord sequences. The second set of chords is a bit trickier because you were having to move up the neck and bar and such like, but the best thing to do is just play around with some chords and try picking over them. The danger you get when changing chords and holding down full chords is that you can get a gap in between the chord change. So it might be worth recording what you're playing and listening back and seeing if you're keeping the bass notes at regular intervals during the chord changes, because that's one of the dangers. You try to form the chords using all your fingers, you just have a slight lapse in time and it knocks the whole thing out of sync. One other thing I want to say about playing chords is that you have to watch out what bass notes you're playing. In the previous example, in the open D guitar, when we're playing the bass notes, we're just using open strings, and because it was tuned to open D, it all sounded fine. But when you're playing chords and fretting chords, especially in standard tuning, you have to make sure you play the right bass notes for that chord. So for instance, if you had, say, an E chord, the root note of that chord would be E on the lowest string, so you could easily play that. But if you were Travis picking, you could also use this string, because you use all 6 strings when playing this chord. And that would sound fine. But if you were playing a different chord, say a D chord, this only uses 4 strings, so the root note of that would be the D on this string, and that would be fine. But if you were to play the bottom string of the guitar, which is an E and doesn't form part of the D major chord, it would sound out. So when you're playing these chords, just be mindful of the notes that make up the chord and the root notes of these chords, and try to use them as your bass notes. Anyway, progressing with chords, when you're playing with chords like this, you sometimes have some fingers free, and what you can do with them is play other notes. And that's what I'm going to do in this last exercise. So we're going to use C, A minor, F and G, which is a standardized chord sequence. But in addition to playing the chords, we'll also be playing some additional notes with the pinky and some other fingers. So this is a more advanced exercise when you're playing chords, and you will see it a lot in fingerstyle guitar. So give it a try and see how you get on. But certainly once you're through this exercise and all the previous exercises and play them competently, you're pretty much there at learning thumb independence and playing fingerstyle guitar. Okay, that's it for this video. If you've managed to get through these exercises and play them well, you've pretty much got the hang of fingerstyle guitar and this concept of thumb independence. The best thing to do now is just find more pieces of music to play and get practice from them. If you go on my YouTube channel, I have a number of different fingerstyle pieces you can play, a lot more famous music, and the tabs for them are available on my website. If you're struggling, like I've said before, go back through the exercises, take them slowly and use a metronome to help you keep time. Now this is the 3rd video I've done, and what I've shown you in these videos you'll see in probably the majority of music you will play. So if this is all the music you're going to be playing, then you can just stop here. But what I want to do is one final video, and in this final video what I want to do is introduce some different note durations. So I want to look at things like triplets and triplet feel that you may come across. Also what I want to do is change up the bass line a bit. In all these examples have been in 4/4 time, with each bass note being played on each beat of the bar as a quarter note. What I want to do as well in the next video is look at changing that up and looking at different bass note timings as well. So the last video will be really just an add-on, a more advanced add-on of what we've done. But like I said, if you've gotten this far, then you've pretty much got the hang of this technique of thumb independence and playing fingerstyle guitar. Thanks for watching.